Testing, 1 2 1 2. Testing, testing. Got it?
Raise your hand. We are meeting the $50.6 million cost of repairing and renovating our most iconic building. The Rotunda restoration has taught us to examine our assumptions and given us a new, the large in December. The intensive session is the path to self. We as a university need to start, stop, or continue in the short, mid, or long term. In other words, to stop practices that are detrimental, to start new practices we're not currently doing but should be doing, and to continue effective practices that are already underway. We divided the issues into 3 categories: prevention, response, and culture, and we now have a working group of students, faculty, staff, parents, and alumni assigned to each category. These groups will be working carefully but briskly. The groups will deliver interim reports by March 16th and final reports by April 30th. Evaluating and improving the culture of a university is a complex and daunting job, as complex and daunting as restoring a building that is listed alongside the Taj Mahal and the Cathedral of Notre Dame on the UNESCO World Heritage List, as our Rotunda is. By sorting the issues into the categories of prevention, response, and culture, we have created a systematic approach to many of the improvements. And it will be replaced this summer by a permanent one in the building formerly occupied by the Freeman Victorious Frame Shop. Earlier this month, we offered a 4-day training program with the Green Dot organization. Pat Lampkin has been a great champion of the Green Dot program. Pat, raise your hand so people can see where you are. Thank you. About 80 students, faculty, and staff attended the training in the summer designing new courses discussed by in the discoveries that our researchers will make, and the scholarship and creative arts we will produce. And our promise is set forth in the aspirations described in our Cornerstone Plan. We understand that, more than any past greatness or goodness, it is the promise of the university's future that demands our greatest attention now. Once again, the Rotunda restoration provides the perfect metaphor. The purpose of the restoration is not to glorify our history or to scrutinize our past. The purpose of the restoration is to sustain and strengthen this global treasure for future generations. Above all, it is a forward-looking project. Likewise, we must continue to be forward-looking as a university. The Cornerstone Plan has given us a blueprint for the university's future, and that celebration of UVA's bicentennial, which will commence with the 200th anniversary of the laying of the university's cornerstone on October 6, 1817. The bicentennial will be a wonderful opportunity for the UVA family to come together in celebration over the last 200 years. But more important than any tribute or commemoration is what lies on the other side of the bicentennial, the dawning of the university's 3rd century. At the beginning of this new year, let's acknowledge the significance of the task we face. The university's success in the early years of its 3rd century will be determined largely by our ability to fulfill the aspirations of the Cornerstone Plan. So let me talk about some of the progress we're making on that front. Faculty examples of the great work our faculty are doing in the next 7 to 10 years, as many of our longtime professors will reach retirement. These faculty members have had and continue to have a profound impact on our students. And they are the models on the new generation of faculty that we're recruiting. Earlier this week, our communications office published a story and video about economics professor Ken Elzinga, who has taught about 45,000 students during his 47 years at UVA. The story describes Ken's strong commitment to teaching and to his students during his nearly 5-decade tenure at UVA. We received a resounding response this week from alumni, many of whom were taught by Ken over the years. This reminds us of 2 truths. First, our current faculty is excellent, and they're having a lifelong impact on their students. And second, the discovery and development of new knowledge in emerging fields is important. But we are teachers first and foremost. A great faculty requires great leadership, and we have fresh blood in our academic leadership as well. Joining our already strong team of deans, Ian Balcom, Alan Stamm, and Beth Meyer took over as the deans of the college, the Batten School, and the School of Architecture, respectively, this academic year. I think I saw at least Ian. Are there others here too? Raise your hand, Ian. Thank you. Scott Beardsley, now a senior partner, thinking for and preparing for the world of work. Participating students have been working on their resumes, learning about careers in various industries, and hearing from representatives from Google and other organizations. There was also a very well-attended internship fair. Right now, over in the Newcomb Hall Lounge, a full team of UVA advisors, including association deans, career counselors, and advisors from internship and study abroad programs, is holding open advice from 45 interns working in 8 countries in Africa, Asia, and Europe. This program has grown in popularity with 137 students now seeking internships in 18 countries this coming summer so far. We recently established the Center for Global Inquiry and Innovation, or CGI Squared, and since its inception, this center has awarded more than $310,000 in grants to 61 faculty members and 66 students. These grants have supported projects to determine the role of forests in climate change, to create a digital global literary network, and to manage linguistic preservation in Southeast Asia, among other projects. In March, we will hold the official opening of the UVA China office in Shanghai, in the People's Republic of China. Academic programs of 2019 show a 12% increase in the number of first-generation students compared with the previous year. This means that students from all walks of life are seeing UVA for what it truly is, one of the best values in higher education. Kiplinger's magazine confirmed this reality once again in December when it ranked UVA as the #2 best value among public universities across the nation. On producing clean energy from alternative sources such as water and solar. We anticipate that research conducted by UVA faculty and students will translate into technological innovations, business startups, and ultimately significant growth of U.S. and regional economies through new energy technologies. This initiative will involve multiple schools from across grounds, help UVA recruit world-class faculty, and distinguish us as a leader in addressing global energy challenges. Through our Strategic Corporate Partners program that emerged from the Cornerstone Plan, we're creating deep structured partnerships that we can sustain, strengthen, and grow over the years. Our relationship with Rolls-Royce is a good example of this progression. This relationship began about 10 years ago with companies global. She has joined that leadership team with Dr. Shannon, Interim Dean Randy Canterbury in the School of Medicine, and Dean Dory Fontaine in the School of Nursing, who is continuing her leadership in the academic division, but also helps to complete the Health Affairs leadership team. Fundraising is an increasingly important source of financial support for the strategies and aspirations we aim to fulfill. After completing our $3 billion campaign in 2013, we're focused on attracting private support for key priorities, and we are making excellent progress. We recorded just over $60 million in philanthropic cash flow for the month of December 2014. By comparison, cash flow for December 2013 was $54.4 million, so about a 10% increase. Let me clarify that philanthropic cash flow is the money used for actual dollars received in gifts, pledge payments, and irrevocable gifts, and does not include pledges or future commitments. Those are real dollars in the door. December's cash flow brings our fiscal year 15 total to date to just over $134 million, an increase of 31.8% over the same period in fiscal year 14, which was $101.8 million. These are good numbers, and they are important numbers. Donors will help us in grounds. Of course, that third priority includes the rotunda restoration that I mentioned at the beginning of my remarks. So this seems an appropriate way to close my remarks. In one of the most dramatic phases of the restoration, our contractors are now in the process of removing the old damaged pillars from the rotunda's columns and replacing them with new ones. Craftsmen in the Pedrini Sculpture Studio in Carrara, Italy, worked for months to carve the new capitals, recreating the Jeffersonian originals with meticulous care. And the completed capitals recently traveled. I think we have microphones here for people who want to ask questions. Raise your hand and a microphone will come to you.
I was intrigued to hear your strong support for student self-governance and wonder if you were disappointed by the action of national sororities this week in imposing a new rule on the students without consultation, and wondered if you had also spoken with national sorority leaders.
I have not spoken with the national sorority leaders, nor did they consult us with about the letter that they sent. I would encourage you to talk to our own sorority leaders because I am not certain that this came without consultation. And the letter itself provides a context that's largely been lost in the media stories, which is that National Panhellenic has a national policy that members of sororities not participate in fraternity recruitment activities. That of
how students specifically have responded to all this that you found particularly refreshing or interesting? I mean, you talk about self-governance, is there something specific that, from some specific organization even, that's really shocked you sort of in response to everything that's happened in the past 2 months?
Well, you know, I would point to Jalen Ross, our student council leader, together, that I think has been refreshed, okay? Yeah, when an RFP was issued for a survey firm to conduct the survey. And Westat, which I know from my previous life as a working sociologist, is a very reputable survey organization, was selected. The questionnaire is being designed by a team of researchers with experience in sexual violence, headed by a professor from the University of North Carolina. And I believe, and I'm looking to the student affairs staff to check me if I'm wrong, that Nancy Deutsch from the Curry School is actively involved in this. The questions they're going to rely on have often been used in research in other settings, so they're looking to use validated questions. And I understand that a version of the questionnaire is now being pre-tested at 4 universities, but we're not one of the 4 pre-test universities. There's also the possibility for each university to add a couple of questions of its own. The advantage of using these questions that have been both pre-tested and also validated in previous studies is that it makes comparability between this study and previous studies more appropriate, more comparable. An important issue for us will be getting a high level of response. Because if the only students who respond are those who find themselves at 2 ends of a district, the University of Oregon. In fact, with this AAU survey, the University of Oregon and the University of Michigan will field their own survey simultaneously with the AAU survey, which again will give us a chance to look at comparability of results and how different questions are effective. One of the things that has motivated this is that at the White House conference that was held last spring, there was a lot of discussion about climate surveys. There has been at least one bill introduced in Congress that violence are serious. Well, we may have exhausted the audience if we haven't exhausted the topic. And as you can tell, I'm starting to lose my voice anyway, so let me thank you all very much for being here.